Um, Welcome, everyone. My name is Amy Croto, Senior Natural Resource Officer for the town of Barnstable and Hearing Officer assigned to this dog hearing today. It is June 20th, 2025. We are in the second floor Selectmen's Conference Room of Town Hall, 367 Main Street, and the time right now is 12:33 p.m. I will open the hearing by reading into the record the letter sent by the town manager addressed June 3rd, 2025 to a Ms. Laura Curis, 39A2 Prospect Avenue, Centerville, Mass. 02632. Dear Ms. Curis, I've scheduled a hearing under the provisions of Chapter 140, Section 157 of the Massachusetts General Laws on June 20th at 12:30 p.m. based on a complaint received regarding a dog harbored by you. The complaint states that the dog is dangerous, which is in violation of the Town of Barnstable regulations, specifically Chapter 403-15. The hearing will take place at Town Hall, 367 Main Street, Hyannis, in the Selectmen's Conference Room on the second floor. You will be given every opportunity to be heard at this time. I request that you make every effort to attend this hearing. Sincerely, Mark S. Ells, Town Manager. Of note, this was delivered in hand to Laura Curis by Senior Animal Control Officer Charles Lewis on the 4th of June at 9:30 a.m. So anyone planning on providing testimony today, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you're about to give in this matter is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
No.
Okay. So as I had mentioned prior to the start of the hearing, dog hearings can run rather emotional. The way that this will go is we hear from any complainants first, we then hear from defendants, then from the animal control officer. We continue in that cycle until everyone feels they have been adequately heard pertaining to this matter. All conversation goes to me directly, not across the table at one another, to keep decorum. And with that being said, we can start. Ellen, is it?
Yes, I probably should start with Eric.
Start with Eric, okay. Eric, if you could please state your name.
Eric Goldbranson, Goldbranson.
Okay. And if you could just explain to me why we are here today. I do have a copy of, what was submitted to the town manager. If you want, I can read your statement of facts and you can, okay. They are all part of the record.
Yeah.
And part of the file, but if you wanna just kind of explain to me what happened.
Well, I was just on a walk that I do 3 times a day up in the Craigville Village. As Steve knows, I say hello to him every time I go by, and I walk down the hill, same thing every time. Go down by a little brook near the Centerville River, and as I was walking down the hill, there's a little house there on the bottom of the hill, and I just walking by, I noticed the door was open, but I didn't think anything. First I was like, oh boy, the house is gonna be full of flies, it's right near the marsh, but I didn't think anything of it. I went down by the river, see if there's any fish going through the brook or whatever, and I was coming back up the hill. There's just like a green space or greenery or something, you can't even really see that house from where I was. And I was just walking and I hear a woman screaming. I'm like, wow, she's mad at her kids or something. She was hysterically screaming. And I was just kept walking. I didn't think anything of it. And then just as soon as I looked up, there's this large dog coming right at my little dog. They're both little dogs, but one's smaller than the other. And I knew by the looks on this dog that what it was going for the little one. So I just grabbed the leash here and I just, natural reaction, get them off the ground, And as soon as I lifted up, the dog jumped up, grabbed my little one by the hindquarters, knocked us to the ground. I got back up. They were wrestling. Miss Laura came over. Seconds later, it seems like it was 10 minutes. It was probably 10 seconds. And she grabbed my little one, was by the hindquarters, really tearing her up pretty good. I was trying to get her away, and my other dog, from the force, because they were joined together, when she yanked on it, the other dog went and kind of landed on Miss Laura's dog. And so he turned around, grabbed him by the shoulder, shook him, threw him off to the side. And then when he threw him off to the side, the little dog was attached, went with him. And as it was sliding by, pounced on her, right in the midsection. And we were trying to get the dog off. She was trying to, giving her credit, And we're not mad at you. It just, this is a dangerous dog.
Eric, don't
I know,
address
I
her.
know,
like I
I
said.
know, I know, just, it was brutal, you know? My other dog, the bigger one, blood was coming out, I stopped the blood on that one. The little one was just, I'm kind of, finally she got it out. And I knew she was done. The sides were hanging out and stuff, so.
And
It was a
is,
brutal attack. The dog wasn't on a leash, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if it came out the open door, it came from the backyard. I just looked up where the chain goes across, I look up and there was a dog from me to Charlie away. I just did the natural reaction, boom, hit my other dog. Like I said, it was probably 10 to 15 seconds the whole time. And
Sure.
it seemed like it was 10 minutes, you know?
and as I understand, this smaller dog had to be
Oh, yeah, she was,
euthanized.
it had to be, no. The doctor just came out and said,
These are the
good.
pictures of.
Okay.
There's a
Were
bunch of them.
those submitted as part of the record to the town manager? Because I
No,
didn't
'cause
have that
these-
in the file.
These came after because all these pictures came after, because we went in straight away
Okay.
and the vet,
Do you want
Or
them
trauma
to be
center.
added to the
Yes.
record?
yes.
Do you want me to make copies of these
No, you
after
can have them,
hearing it?
I made copies.
Okay,
I mean, this whole file is for you.
okay,
There's all the vet bills, here's pictures of Murphy,
okay.
Layla,
Ellen.
Yeah, I understand it is an emotional subject.
Layla and Murphy,
Okay,
that,
so very small dogs.
yes,
the whole file.
15 pounds and 5 pounds, that's all they were.
Okay. Ellen, is there anything else that you'd like to add besides what
Well,
you provided here?
Part of the is, so when I got up there, I didn't realize how bad it was until I got there and I saw Laura and Eric both holding the dogs, but they were in towels that Laura, you must have gone in your house and got them, so I knew it was bad because Eric had blood all over him,
Yeah,
but I didn't, because the dogs were covered, I didn't realize the extent of how bad the dogs were, but I knew, so got in the car and started driving directly to our vet, which is in Osterville, called them. When we got there, they said, we can medicate for their pain, but you have to go to trauma and Bowen. They're like, we are not equipped to what is happening, especially to Layla.
okay,
So we drove to the trauma center, and part of this is just, I don't know but you need to understand our emotional side of this from a sense of, we're trying to get to Bourne, the freaking bridge is getting worked on, traffic's backed up. Eric gets out of the car and starts running. I'm sitting there's no dog ambulance which maybe I need to invent that, but he's running down the street because he knew, like with Layla, it was.
Yeah.
And, got to the trauma center. Obviously, Layla was priority, but, when they spoke to us about her, they said giving her all her ribs were broken. Obviously, you can see her insides were, she had herniated, she needed a tube to breathe. But so as fast as, we had to decide on Layla, then it was like, okay, now we need to talk about Murphy.
Mhm.
So we've lost, a dog, and then we have to address, okay, what are we gonna do with the other dog? Thankfully, Murphy's weren't as severe. It was, they could do surgery and stitch up all his numerous bites, and thankfully, I think Eric probably saved him because he was fighting that dog. And the dog just wouldn't, Eric was like, there was no reaction. Eric was punching it, it was kicking
the dog,
him,
it just would not
and
let
that
go.
dog just
And I was trying to
relentless.
hold Murphy
And-
at the same time, and all I could think to do was just kick and scream and yell that I was gonna kill the damn dog, whatever I could yell.
Sure,
Just trying to make noise, maybe to distract the dog.
understood.
But, so for, And Murphy's much better, he's, you know, but the emotional part of it is,
Sure, and like I had mentioned in the beginning of the hearing,
Yeah.
anytime there are,
Sure.
you know, instances like this, it is extremely traumatic, it is extremely emotional. You know, anything that pertains to like veterinary bills, emotional trauma, unfortunately, while you're, you know, welcome to have that be heard in this hearing, these dog hearings are to address whether or not this is a dangerous
Right.
dog specific to this event. So anything outside of that would be, you know, a
Yeah.
civil type suit. But I understand that this was traumatic for you and that, you know,
but I'm
wanting to
meaning
get
like
it off of
like the nature of
chest
how
is
bad
okay.
her injuries were
Sure.
prompted him to get out of the car and start running.
Yeah.
Cause it was like time was just not on our side.
Understood. Paula?
I'm here, you know, a lot of moral support and just to help them. I know you said not to bring up emotional stuff, but Ellen did call me when it happened because she left her house immediately because of, you know,
Eric,
the two
I was
dogs
at
were
home.
attacked. I didn't have a lot of information. I was already on the road. She said, well, you just make sure the house is closed. We live near each other.
Sure.
So I went to the house just to make sure everything was okay. And I did drive up to the Craigville area, one, because I had no information aside from the dogs were attacked by a large dog. So I just kind of drove around the area to make sure there was no dog out. I sat up there for,
The trauma center needed to know if we could have access to whoever the dog was,
Sure.
because the way they treat them for rabies and.
Yep.
right.
So that was part of her going up to get that.
So I did go up, and realistically, there were people walking with dogs, and I did warn them of what happened in case I had no idea where the dog was.
Sure.
So I wanted to make sure other humans, children, and dogs were protected
Okay.
or knew so that they'd leave. I said, you probably want to walk somewhere else today until it's all sorted out. I'm not offending anyone, I'm just stating the facts.
Yeah.
And I did end up finally talking to Charlie, and I did go back up one more time, and then I haven't been up since.
Okay. Anything that they're adding to the record right now, are you going to need copies of any of this following the hearing?
Sure.
Okay. So at this point, Laura, if you want to kind of walk me through the situation as you recall it.
So I was in the small room that, while they had passed by, the one that was described earlier, one of our smaller rental units. There are two doors, so one of them was open, but the other one was closed. So we were in the other room, closed in there while I was cleaning and just kind of moving things around. I saw something was out of place, so I went in there to move it while we were on our way to actually go for a walk. So they were all strapped up with their harnesses, and we were getting ready to go for a walk. Then he must have seen those guys walk past, and I'm not sure what sparked his decision to push the other door open, which I had originally deemed as latched shut. But the decision was made for him to push the door open and charge out. I did yell for Dio to stop, or I didn't know if he saw like a bunny or a squirrel or something out there. There's a lot of little creatures in that wooded area. But we often sit out there and we just watch the rabbits and stuff go out. So I'm not quite sure. At that time, I did not know what he saw. So I did yell for him to stop. Once I realized he pushed that door open. And then when he kind of went around the corner of the road, which is where these guys were, I noticed he made contact with one of the dogs, to which I immediately went over and grabbed his nose and pried apart his mouth to get the one dog out. of his mouth while the owner was, he was trying his best to kick my dog and punch him to get off and stuff like that in an attempt to release him. He did, yeah, he was with that dog, and then once I released him, the other dog it just came, from what I remember, just came close. I didn't realize that they were attached in that little leash thing. So I was not understanding why the other dog was so close while that was happening, but then once I got Theodore off and I was tackling him, the other dog was just so close that he was able to grab onto the other dog, and then I pried him off of the dog and immediately grabbed Dio and put him into a room with both of the doors latched shut, to which I ran and got two towels so that we could wrap up the small dogs and assess what had happened, to which he called someone, I believe it was his wife, on the phone to come and grab them so that they could go be assessed by a vet, because we are not veterinary people, so we didn't know the assessment, but they were very small dogs and there was blood, for sure. I don't recall either humans getting hurt by my dog at all whatsoever. It was just dog on dog. Yeah, so at that point, they had gone away and I said, I will give you my contact information. I'm here, I'm available, but just keep in contact or reach out. But at that point, we didn't switch information, so I wasn't quite sure how we were going to get in contact. So they had left. And then I brought the dog into where I was living, and just trying to recall everything. And then I got a phone call that somebody was driving around looking for me in a black car several times. I never made contact with that person. They were approaching employees and looking for me and was quite angry. I'm not sure who that was, but I never made contact. I did end up seeing the car and trying to chase it down the road, but that person did not see me, so I'm not quite sure what that was or who that was. Then Charlie had come to chat with me about the quarantine, or officer. I don't remember your last name, Charles. And so he had come to tell me that we were under the 10-day quarantine at that point. So I wanted to make sure I understood the parameters to which we could walk, and not be outside of where we're supposed to be for the quarantine. Like, I wanted to make sure I could walk here and here, so I confirmed that with him. He told me the details of the next steps so far, and then we were under a 10-day quarantine at that point, to which we were then later released 10 days later.
Did I see there was some mention of your dog being in treatment for something?
Yes, so I don't know how much of that, so I think I'm done explaining that part of the incident. We just moved here about 2 months ago, so a lot of the stuff for the dogs are super new. I know it takes quite a bit of time for dogs to just acclimate to a new area. We came from a place where there are no bunnies, squirrels, turkeys, small dogs. They'd never seen them before. So all this moving and changing, they went on a flight to get here, that kind of stuff. So I don't know what kind of emotional taxing that is on all types of dogs, but I know for mine it's a lot. They'd never been on a 5-day car trip, not moved a bunch. That along with, he was just diagnosed with melanoma cancer, which is terminal. It's very aggressive. So he has anywhere from 10 months to 2 years to live. He finished the first part of his treatment right before coming here. We were about 2 weeks out of treatment at that point, to which he will, for the rest of his life, go in every 6 months to get additional treatment. He also has just been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, which doesn't help when it comes to breathing. And he has intense dietary issues, especially since moving here with all the changes and stuff like that. So what was going on in his body, what is still going on in his body with all the changes, he's been quite uncomfortable with the move and everything, so I'm not sure if that's kind of related to his behavioral changes, but this is not something that has happened before. He's generally a good guy. Has hung out with other dogs in the past when we lived where we were before. He has other dog friends, or whatever that's called, companions, and he's good with people.
How long have you had him for?
I've had him for 4.5 years.
And he's how old?
4.5.
Okay. And where did you move from?
St. Croix.
Oh, okay.
So we used to, we were able to go on the property that I used to live on, and he was pretty free range too. It was not a fenced area, and he just didn't do anything. It's just hanging out with the other dogs. We'd have other dogs come over and they'd play. No incidents. So this is very much a different behavior than he's had before. I would like to say that after this incident, immediately I started researching behavioral changes with illness. I have had a vet assessment. I have behavioral course. I've signed up for assessments. Now that we're outside of the quarantine, I'm able to leave with them. I didn't want to schedule anything while we were quarantined. And then shortly after I did leave due to some threats that came my way. So I felt I needed to move, along with for some other reasons.
So you have moved to a new residence?
The residence that I put on that
Is where you are
it's a
now?
temporary residence for
Okay.
now.
Okay.
So we started the behavioral training. I have videos of I don't know if that's relevant to right now, but videos of how the training has really started to help being near dogs, other dogs. There's now no reaction, or not now, but there has gone back to no reactions for dogs coming within 20 feet. There's children around, and he's just relaxed of the training, and we're gonna continue doing the training. Just trying to make it aware that we're making the efforts to ensure that his behavior doesn't deteriorate, or however I can help to make sure that goes back to normal and is a well-behaved dog.
Okay. Stephen?
Mine is really more after the fact, so I know that you said
That's-
more to be
That's fine.
involved. I will say also before that since she's gotten here, I've met the dog and I've never seen anything. I have small dogs and I was more than okay with having her dog around my dogs. And there was never anything, so when I had said that I was shocked that this happened, I truly was, because I didn't expect it.
Okay. Because you're just more speaking to the demeanor of her dog around, and what kind of dogs do you have?
I have a Cavapoo, middle-sized dogs.
Yeah.
And I have another dog, it's called an island dog because it's from Puerto Rico and it's really just a mix of a bunch of, I have no idea what she actually is, but she's about that
Yeah, we
big.
call those dingoes, I think, most of the time.
In Puerto Rico, they call them island dogs.
Yeah, so, but slightly larger than like 5 to 15.
Yeah, larger than their dogs, but
Okay. Senior Animal Control Officer Lewis.
Okay, I always start by saying, hand service was completed, as you mentioned, on the hearing here. I began an investigation after receiving a phone call and also a fax from Buzzards Bay, the Cape Cod Veterinary Specialists, Inc. And I was advised that there was one dog that was euthanized and that the second dog was being treated, surgery. It was expected to be released later that day or evening. I did speak to Dr. McKenna directly because of this cancer issue and whether or not there was disposition changes that could be a result of the medication. And the vet said that that's possible. So I did issue the quarantine and it did clear. It was signed off by Assistant Animal Control Officer Sherman. As a result of this incident, there were a lot of emails and phone calls from individuals within the village up there concerning the dog. I personally did not follow up on any of them. I know that Assistant Sherman did respond and say that a dog hearing was being scheduled, and at the time there was no date set yet. So that's all I have at this time.
All of these dogs licensed?
Yes, they were licensed prior to this event.
Okay.
Now, I can't speak about the injured dogs because there's also a different address off Cape. So I believe the licenses are from there.
Okay. Okay, so at this time, if you have any additional testimony you'd like to provide, definitely have a clear idea of what took place on the day of the events. I think it would be sufficient for the town manager to, move forward with a recommendation. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I understand Laura is getting treatment for her dog, like behavioral and all that. It doesn't change the fact that the dog attacked two other dogs. It actually concerns me that she has that dog in an area with children. Do those people know what happened? Like, what's it gonna take for the dog to attack a child? Like, I just don't understand where it's not supposed to be emotional and stuff, why that it's even coming into play with this.
Well, just like you were given the opportunity to explain how traumatizing the event was
Right.
to you as a result of the dog attack,
Right.
she's allowed to present her testimony speaking to the disposition of her dog at the time and then what she's trying to do to mitigate that moving forward.
Okay.
A lot of this stuff, although it comes out in public hearings, doesn't pertain to the incident as it occurred on that
I just wanted
day
clarification
and does
on
not
that.
go into a town manager
Yeah.
order.
Right.
But as I mentioned earlier, sometimes in these types of hearings, because these are traumatic events, it does make people at least feel a little better in the moment to have it in the recorded forum, and to be able to sort of like get that off of their chest at that
Yeah,
time.
and I'm just concerned because where Charlie said that the doctor said that medication could cause that, I'm assuming he's still on the dog is on that medication still.
Sure.
So what are the chances of him doing this to another dog, child, human?
I understand
She
that
did say that
concern.
he's around children, so.
Yes, yeah, I understand that concern.
All right, I just
And
wanted
so now, based
clarification.
on also what you said, I would like to add something. So as I'm to understand it, because what you just said is like, we look at the incident.
Yep.
So her saying, oh, I've been in treatment, therapy, and it doesn't matter. You're just gonna, like, we don't care if you're working on him. It's the incident at hand that makes the decision.
Right, sometimes
Okay.
however, part of the town manager order makes recommendations for specific types of treatment, or like if it's a barking dog complaint, like
Right, I mean,
specific
yes.
types of training for that. So oftentimes, if people are already trying to get ahead of something that could be part of a town manager order, they mention that in the hearing. It's not uncommon for that to happen. But this is, you know, us determining based on the incident that occurred, whether or not, is it Deodore? Is deemed a dangerous dog. And then moving forward from that, what type of order the town manager would issue to ensure that this type of situation doesn't happen again.
Just as a point of clarification, in my years of experience, which are many dogs attack other dogs and never attack a human or a child. And then I have others that, you know, they'll bite kids all day long and not ever touch a dog. So each case has to be looked at individually.
Right, I
How can you
understand that,
predict
but yeah,
what's gonna be accelerated? Like maybe late, you know, I'm just saying that.
So that's why we have these types of hearings, is to look at the facts, look at the situation, and the town manager then issues an order that should protect against anything happening like that in the future.
So what happens if the dog, what if the dog, fine, he's doing therapy, so behavioral euthanize is what we're requesting. But what if he does attack again? Are there any repercussions for the decision to, because I would certainly participate if it happened, God forbid, to a human or a baby. If an old woman, they go after, now, I don't know its breed. Eric said, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be prejudiced against dogs, but pit bulls, it's like a thoroughbred. A thoroughbred, you're not gonna get a thoroughbred and turn it into a sweet little sitting by the fire. It's in their DNA. They're going to run. I feel like pit bulls are the same way. With all the breeding for,
Yeah.
Look, I'll respond to that.
Thank you.
We're not breed specific in the town of Barnstable, nor the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And number two, this is not a pit bull.
well, sure, it's not even
Doesn't-
half pit bull or.
There's not,
Well,
in
but
my professional
right.
opinion, it's not a pit bull. And just to clarify, I know personally many pit bull
I don't wanna
owners
hear it, I don't care,
that don't do anything, and yet I know people that have, small
Okay, why
dogs.
then like insurance
that will
policies,
bite.
you have a pit bull, you have to list it, certain, like, it's part of, anyway, we're getting off track.
Yeah, we're
I'm
getting
just
off track
saying
here. I'm gonna have to.
That, yeah, I'm
can
just.
I ask one more question?
You can ask a question, yes.
More to Charlie, I know you said that, and it's not about the breed at all, just dogs in general, that some dogs will never bite again. You can't predict that. So are these people whose children are around this dog, are they like notified at all? Or is that up to Laura to let them know? Or like, how does that work? And again, and if he did bite a child, what are the consequences of that?
And I would participate in that, I would tell them that, yep, we were the first one that was a dog and it's
Oh,
accelerated,
Any-
sorry.
Any town
If
manager
we could
order.
predict the future,
I get it.
it would be remarkable. It's an unknown. We have no idea what
Yeah, but what
would
isn't
ever happen
unknown is you
again
don't let it
with any
happen.
particular situation.
So that's up to Laura then to let the dog go out amongst humans, hoping that Deodre or whatever his name is won't kill.
The
like-
order that the
like he
town
killed
manager
Layla.
puts forward will likely address that.
Okay.
And is carried across wherever
Yes.
that dog resides. So it's not just a town manager order that's effective in the town of Barnstable, the order follows the dog.
Again, just want clarification.
Okay, so at this point, we've definitely heard all of the facts. I have a lot of, it looks like, copying to do. You said you wanted copies of this stuff?
I don't need the pictures, just.
You don't need the pictures, just the, okay, so this would be,
So she doesn't.
I think the pictures would help you make the decision.
Okay, I will take everything.
alright. And was
What if
there
it was the
anything
other
that
way
you wanted
around?
to submit?
No, this is just research on what the chapter or section were and
Okay.
insurance
You want a copy of
policy.
anything she submits?
Okay, so
And
she's
we'd
not,
like a copy if anything
she's not
else.
submitting anything additional.
Additional, what did she submit?
I mean, nothing.
Nothing,
It's
okay.
just proof of rabies, which was, you know, part of
Okay,
the
yep,
quarantine.
yeah, I already have that.
Yeah. So right now, the time is 1:08 PM. We'll close this hearing, we'll forward all of this information to the town manager, and as mentioned before, typically, town manager orders are issued within about 10 business days. Both parties do get notified about
Yes.
that, correct? Yes, so both parties will be notified when a town manager order is issued,
How would we notified or they notified?
by animal control, because they're the ones who.
No, I mean like email, text, phone call, like how?
Oh, no, it's,
No,
they're
usually
delivered in hand typically, or in
Okay.
via mail if we're not able to find you.
We issue the order directly to her, and it comes in the mail too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, again, hearing is closed. A recording of this hearing will obviously be available. You just have to put in a Freedom of Information Act request through the town clerk's office.